Hi, I'm Jack Levitt, and I've been a member of this community for the last 18 years. For those who don't know me, I've been up on this bima many times. I was a VP making announcements on Shabbos. I did bar mitzvah presentations. I gave a Devar Torah on volunteer Shabbat. I actually named one of my sons in the Beit Midrash, spoken to both of my boys on their bar mitzvah, and even eulogized my father from the bima of this shul. And I have to say, I was truly honored when Dina and Eric asked me to speak and give the appeal on Yom Kippur. When I introduced myself, I didn't say I was a member of EBJC. I said I was a member of this community. The definition of a community, according to dictionary.com, where we all go to find definitions, is a social group of any size whose members reside in a specific locality, share government, and often have a common cultural and historical heritage. That's us. For most of us here, EBJC is more than the brick and mortar on Riders Lane. It's the people, it's the history, it's the spirituality, the cultural connection, and so much more. Growing and experiencing all facets of life with the same set of people is what makes a community. My family actually met and made a lot of our friends who have become like family to us right here at EBJC. EBJC represents a constancy in our lives, and the holidays make great markers of time. I remember joining and seeing families with teenage kids and said to my wife, that's going to be us someday. We'd show up at holidays and all of a sudden the kids weren't there. They were off in college. And then the kids would come back and they'd have a boyfriend or a girlfriend with them. And then a few years later, that teenage girl, who's now a woman, was pregnant. Followed by the following year, glowing grandparents walking in carrying a baby. And I realized those teens look like we did when we first joined the East Brunswick Jewish Center. And as holidays went on, sadly, sometimes only one of those grandparents would show up. But together, as a community, we experience all these phases of life together. We feel the pride and joy watching a bar mitzvah child who grew up in our shul up on the bima. We have the nachas of singing Siman Tov and Mazel Tov. And when announcements are made, there's a warmth to being part of the crowd that yells out Mazel Tov, and a true sense of pride of being on the receiving end when somebody's yelling that toward you. There's a feeling of having done a mitzvah when we attend a Shiva minyan for a member of our congregation, and a true sense of comfort having community members at your Shiva minyan. That's what being part of a community is all about. But our community has changed a lot over the last 18 years. We now have a long-range plan that's bringing us well into the 21st century. We have a fantastic new rabbi who has a vision to make that plan a reality. We have Kesher, it's not Hebrew school, for educating our kids of all ages, and award-winning youth groups in Kadima and USY. We have two thriving services, traditional and egalitarian. We have a minyan every morning and every night, well, ideally. We have a community where those who are ill or sitting Shiva are supported. We are very active in addressing community and social issues. Our facilities are looking better than ever. The lobby, the hallway, the landscaping, the parking lot, all have been upgraded nicely. We have ongoing support for the less fortunate, ongoing support for Israel and the soldiers in Israel, and a wide range of programming that is going on almost every night here at EBJC. But this doesn't happen on its own. There's not a magical EBJC entity that makes it happen. It's the people within our congregation that make it happen. Our long-range plan was developed by a group of people who love the shul and have a vision. And I have to be honest, that's what re-energized me and brought me here today. We have a rabbi search committee who did an exhaustive, and I mean exhaustive search to find the absolute right rabbi and a great family to go with them. We have a fabulous education director, Board of Education, and Youth Commission who are dedicated to our kids who are the future of our congregation. We have the men and women of the Ritual Committee comprised of men and women who have a passion for making everyone feel there's a place for their practice. We have a core group of members who are committed to being here for minyan, in rain, in snow, on holidays, to ensure that when somebody needs to be able to say Kaddish, there are enough people to make that happen. Sometimes, though, that core group is not quite enough. We have Bechor Cholim, a group of community members who visit fellow members in the hospital. And it's always nice to have a friendly face in a place that can be kind of scary and cold. We have Shiva Minions, where the door opens up around 8 o'clock and a crew comes in to conduct Mariv, ensuring that there's always a minion for mourners. We have a social action committee who year-round reminds us of how fortunate we are and that we should help those who are less fortunate by donating food on holidays, school supplies, and whatever the season calls for to help the less fortunate. We have congregants who give from their personal businesses to help our facilities. The light boxes for the stained glass in the lobby was constructed by one of our members who is an artist. We have a real estate committee who is comprised of members who are donating their time and resources to find ways to best use our resources and help produce some revenue for the shul. We actually had a congregant who was Jose's former employer who brought Jose to the EBJC on his own payroll for a year before EBJC took over Jose's salary. We have a landscape committee who decided the outside didn't look quite nice enough for when congregants and visitors were coming, so they really used their own time and resources to plant and landscape it, and it looks beautiful outside. And if you walk through the hallway between the lobby and the office, you'll see it's curated with photos that our members put up from their own collections. We support Israel. We're one of the largest supporters of Israel bonds. We have organized trips, and we buy wine. And wine supports Yashar L'Chail. Thanks, special shout out to the Mitzvah Corps who does all that great work. We have a men's club, a sisterhood, and New Era, to mention a few, that fill the calendar with a wide variety of programs. And among other things, ensure we have baskets for a sweet new year, mishloach manot on Purim, and candles for Yom HaShoah. We can't forget that we got here today with the support of past presidents and board members who dedicated countless hours to the synagogue. And so many more groups, so please forgive me if I didn't call your group out specifically. And if you see anybody that I've mentioned when you're in shul, please say thanks to them. Which brings me to the reason I came to give this appeal. Many of you know that I am the president of the East Brunswick Education Foundation in town. And our motto is that we appreciate anybody who can give us their time, their talent, or their treasure. And that's what I want to ask you for today. A friend of mine said that many hands make light work. And we see that around the shul, when things are done by a big group of volunteers, it doesn't take a lot of effort. There is lots of opportunity to donate some time and lend a hand. And talent. We have volunteers who rehab the Pivo Ranch, taking a house that was okay to live in and making it into a real home. They're also making improvements around the building. And I have to say that the rabbi is on the hunt for Torah readers to come in and lane for us. Donations of time and talent are amazing, but we need more. It costs money to keep this community running. The board of directors has done incredible, monumental things to cut costs, but we still have a monthly nut to cover. We have a staff of professional, administrative, teaching, and maintenance employees that we need to pay on time. We have utilities to heat and light this large building of ours. We have a mortgage on the building, and it also costs money to maintain it. And also we want to do programming that keep our community thriving. Paying dues is great, but it's not quite enough. Our community needs its members to help financially. On Yom Kippur, we sent out cards where you were able to fold down a tab to donate money. But the board of directors did something different this year. They didn't call in advance. They were hoping that members would step up and volunteer. But we also had another tab on the donation card, and that was a V. The V was for volunteering. And if you have time or talent to contribute to the community, we ask that people would fold that down, or just call the office and say, I want to volunteer. Even if you don't know where you want to put your time, I can guarantee that the board will find a place for you. Is everybody thinking about where they can volunteer? I hope so. And before I finish this video, and you decide, if you haven't made a donation already, that you want to make one, I want to share a personal story. Something that actually moved the president of Yeshiva University when he heard it. About 12 years ago, on the last day of Pesach, my wife's mother took very ill and died the next day. Coincidentally, we were scheduled to move from one house to another within East Brunswick the following day. We told our friends what happened, and a group of community members came, packed up our house during the funeral, met the movers the next day, and unpacked our house. And when we came home to sit Shiva that weekend, it looked like we lived in that house for 3 months. One of our friends took power of attorney and handled both closings. And they even laid out the cash for the movers. When we came home, it was amazing. Our kids' rooms were decorated, and it felt like a home. True, we had to call people for the next couple of months and say, where's our wok? Where'd you put it? Because we didn't know exactly where things were, but that was a minor problem to have. A funny epilogue to the story. About 3 weeks after all this happened, one of our friends called us up very apologetically and said, I hope you don't mind, but you owe us $5,000 for the mover. They laid out the cash and forgot to ask us for it, and we completely forgot about it. Think about your time and your history here, and how important it is for you to make sure that a community like this continues to thrive. There's so many great things going on, but we need your support to make those things come to fruition. So if you're able to do so, think about making your annual donation to the synagogue. On behalf of my wife and my family, I want to thank you for listening and look forward to seeing you in synagogue. Thanks very much.